All right, story time. I don't know what day this is going to be or where it's going to come in at, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in Idaho hanging with Jose. And since I'm going to go to Idaho, I'm telling you some more Idaho stories. This time has to do with another semi and me and my Geo Metro. That's right, Geo Metro, 3-cylinder, automatic with air conditioning 4-door. So small, I literally could slide the front seat all the way back, and the door pillar is here, and I could stick my arm around the door pillar and look out the back window. Like, the door pillar was actually in my blind spot. And that car, I had to put neutral at a stop sign because if the AC compressor kicked in, it would kill the motor if it was in drive. Pretty weak. Anyway, this story has to do with, I had my own business then. It was called Jaws. And it was Jackson Auto Wire Service. And I was wiring hot rods and cars and traveling all over Idaho, southern Idaho, basically, wiring cars in people's shops, their houses. That was my whole gimmick, was a guy'd be building a car, and, rather than bring it to my shop and have it under my lock and key, people felt more secure with having their car there at night, and if they helped, they got to see the progress. And no one was asking questions like, why is it so expensive, and, how come the parts are going there? Why is it taking so long? Because they're there, and it's at their house, they can see it. Got nothing to hide. So I did that for a lot. Area. So anyway, I was off I think I might have been in Oregon, southeast Oregon, and I was heading back to Idaho. I was heading back to Idaho. And I was on the same stretch of highway where I told you that story about me and Jay flying low in that red 56 Chevy truck that he clipped, and me and my coupe where we were booking it. So I'm heading back in my Geo Metro, which doesn't quite go that fast. And the speed limit at that time wasn't 80 yet. I think it was 70 out there. This is a while ago. So I'm motoring along in my automatic Geo Metro, and I'm in the slow lane, cruising along on the highway, and up ahead of me I see this semi truck kind of drifting. And I was like, wow, that guy's he's drifted. He went across the fog line. So I was like, no big deal. I don't think I told you the story. I don't remember it. Anyway, so I'm watching him a little bit farther, and we're getting ready to come up on one of the overpasses for one of the first exits, and he drifts like clear over where his left side tires, driver's side tire, is over the fog line on the far right side of the highway. We're talking, he's over in the shoulder borrow pit, and over there is an embankment and the off-ramp post. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to witness a head-on collision at 70 miles an hour with a semi-truck. And at the last second, he swerves back onto the highway, shoots rocks and stuff all over the front of my Geo, and I'm like, my little blue Geo, my metrosexual, this poor little car. Anyway, I'm like cruising along, and so I decide, all right, I'm going to watch him. If he does a third stupid maneuver like that, I'm dialing 911, because this guy's drunk driving, and he almost killed himself, and he's going to wreck somebody. And we're still a few miles outside of Caldwell. And sure enough, this time he goes over and goes in the center borrow pit and almost went up into the oncoming traffic side of the highway. Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's it. He comes back across, and surprisingly, he doesn't hit anybody else on the highway. I was like, this is nuts. So I dialed 911. Hey, I'm probably not the first person to call you folks about this guy, this maniac on the highway, but I'm out here about mile marker, blah, 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 and I'm watching this semi-truck just, he's almost wrecked twice, and he's going to hurt somebody. I don't know if he's drunk or dropped a cigarette in his lap or what's going on. Maybe he's got a lot lizard in there. I don't know, but someone needs to check on this guy, because maybe he's injured. Maybe he's got epilepsy. I don't know. Narcolepsy. Who knows? So she says, well, I radioed a Ohio patrolman, and he should be there shortly. What mile marker are you? And I was like, well, we just passed. I forget where it was. She's like, okay, stay with him. And I said, all right. She said the Ohio patrolman is like 4 or 5 miles away from me at that point, on the opposite lane, going the other direction, or behind me or something. I'm like, all right. So within like 3 or 4 miles, we're now in Meridian, and I'm still on the phone with her. And she asked me to stay on the phone because the officer requested it. And she's like, what mile marker are you at right now? And I said, I'm at this one. And she goes, and so is the officer. And I said, oh. And I look in my rearview mirror, and there's one of those little Mustang High Patrol suckers right behind me, like new ones. I was like, dang, that was fast. I didn't even see him come up on me. And she asked me my license number, and I said that was it. And I look in the rearview mirror, and the officer waves, and I was like, I waved back, and I said, can the officer see the truck? And she said, yes, he can. And at that moment, this truck crossed the highway and almost hit the median and came back. And I was like, did the officer see that? And she said, yes, he did. Stay where you are. Do not change lanes. And this guy lit him up and went around me like I was in reverse. This Mustang did. And gets right up to where, and his lights are on, he gets right up to where about broadside, backside tires of this, on the left side lane, in the super fast lane in the shoulder, to the center median in this divide highway, right up next to this semi. And all of a sudden, both stacks go pitch black, like a coal mining, freight train. Boom! Up comes the black smokes, and gone goes the semi. And I'm on the phone with her. I was like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, the officer's requesting that you stay back, but follow them if you can at speed. And I'm like, I'm in a 93 Geo Metro. I don't know if I can keep up. So I got this sucker pegged. It's wound out. I'm doing like 80, and those guys are leaving me like I'm in reverse. And we get outside Boise, heading towards that outlet mall, and they're flying, like they're dots. And all of a sudden, it's weird. Like, there's nobody on the oncoming traffic, and there's nobody behind me in traffic. And then it's like a crowd comes over medians, and like, I think there's like 10 or 15 High Patrol cars. They just come out of nowhere. And they just, like sheriffs, they just like converge on this thing. Across the medians, it was like in a movie. And this guy like hits the brakes and slides over. The semi-truck slides over, and she says, please stay back in case there's gunfire. Yeah, right? And an officer will come talk to you in a second. And I said, okay. So I pull off the side of the road and I sit there because I'm the only witness. Nobody else had called, but the officer had witnessed this stuff. And so I hang up with her, and I'm sitting in the back there, and I'm watching all this go on. And they're like guns drawn, creeping up on this guy in the truck, and he gets out. And they like go through his truck, and they're like opening doors and stuff. And the officer comes back to me and says, what do you like? I'm like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, he didn't cross something. There's some law about changing lanes or something where the other tires had to cross both. I remember it was some law. I don't know what the law is, but he said the officer witnessed him driving erratically, but he didn't break the law by going past this certain thing. But since I was a witness, they might need me in court for this whole thing if they call me. So he took my information and stuff like that, and he said, you better get out of here. He said, because he says he's a new driver and he was just scared, but he did try and evade the police, and they said, we think there's something else going on, so you may not want to be here in case this gets ugly. And I was like, I don't want to be here at all. I mean, it's fun to watch. It's like a train wreck, but let's be honest. I'm in a 93 Geo Metro. How dare me? You know what I mean? Like that 1981 Honda. How dare you? That's what's going on. So I split, and I never heard back. I never heard what happened after that. But, yeah. That guy in that semi could have crushed me at any moment. I mean, but it was neat to watch. Like, I'd never seen the semi move out like that. I mean, he was leaving that High Patrol car. That Mustang, that pursuit vehicle was moving. I don't know what those boys are doing to some of those, like, cross-country driving semi-trucks, but, man, those things are built. I mean, man, he's pouring the coal to that thing. But anyway, that's your story time for whatever day this is. And, don't have a seizure because I'm going through some trees. Let me show you. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm in the old town of Wailuku. This is the old highway that I was on that wraps around. I'm almost back into town. But anyway, Thanks for hanging out, kids. See you guys later.